Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Great.
You had a good lunch?
Yes.
Enjoyed?
Yes.
All right. Thank you for coming. We are going to start a session on the deep dive on Exchange 2013 SP1 for database availability group. And this is the first time we are doing Tech Stravaganza from this location, which is Times Square. So now we are making another history in this world. The Times Square has been known for the ball dropping. Now it will be also known for Tech Stravaganza. All right? All right, so we'll start with thanking to our organizers, then thanking to our user group communities, which definitely help us sharing our knowledge, also learning from others, and sponsors, definitely. And thanks to all other user groups. All right. So today, March 21st, we are starting the session on the database availability group post Service Pack 1 release, and I believe this is the first session of DAG after SP1 release, and this will include SP1 features of DAG. Something about me. I'm a Microsoft valuable professional. I'm a solution architect. I've worked on different small, mid-sized, large organizations, architecture and designing. I'm a speaker for Tech Stravaganza, Netcom Learning, Microsoft, and NY Exchange user group. I've been Microsoft PSS employee. So, agenda of the day. Service Pack 1, what's new? Database availability group overview. Benefits of database availability group. DAG without a cluster administrative access point. This is a new thing coming in SP1. We'll discuss about it. Getting started with DAG. DAG configuration steps. And you'll be happy to see there's a DAG lab. We will use the Service Pack 1 DAG lab. We have AutoReseed and AutoReseed configuration steps next. Then AutoReseed workflow, automated database availability group, and DAG high availability versus disaster recovery. All right, let's begin. Service Pack 1. As we all know, in the month of February 25th, Microsoft released Exchange 2013 Service Pack 1. And I believe after the release of Service Pack 1, many of the organizations will be migrating their Exchange system to Service Pack 1 because most of the organizations wait for the release of Service Pack 1 before deploying the new product. So we have Service Pack 1. So let's walk through some features of Service Pack 1, not all. So first feature is DAG without a cluster administrative access point. So there's a new feature coming in Windows 2012 R2, which is cluster administrative access point. So DAG is going to utilize this feature with the help of Service Pack 1 and going to create the cluster without a cluster administrative access point. The next point is the use of Windows 2012 R2. Many of us were waiting to deploy Exchange 2013 on R2, and many of us already deployed on R2, but they faced some issues. Now, with the help of Service Pack 1, they can install Exchange 2013 Service Pack 1, which is supported on 2012 R2 as well as all other operating systems. Now we can see Edge Transport role is back. How many people are excited to see Edge Transport role back? I mean, this is a feedback which went to Microsoft. People wanted it back. That's why it is back. Many organizations, I can see large organizations, they use it as a, if not a spam guard, at least as a relay server. All right, SMIME is coming back, so you will be secure. Your every message will be secure. MAPI over HTTP. It's a new connectivity protocol is coming up with Service Pack 1. So MAPI over HTTP is going to be more reliable, more sustainable. It will be like a hibernation. You can pause and resume. So basically that's going to be happening in the back end. You cannot do it in the front end. But this is going to be more reliable, more sustainable. We'll be connecting the Outlook faster, or if it disconnects, it will connect back faster. DLP tips on OWA. So earlier we used to see DLP data loss prevention policy tips on Outlook itself and not on OWA. Now we can see it on OWA. New feature coming in is document fingerprinting. The document fingerprinting is something like you create a document for like a patent in the company, in your organization, that if something short of this patent, somebody tries to email out of the company within a document, if you find the patent configuration which I've mentioned in the document, let's not allow or configure the policy tip. So it's going to protect more of your data loss. So DLP prevention. Document fingerprinting. SSL offloading supported. So now SSL offloading will be supported, which was not supported till now. So now you can offload the SSL onto load balancer or any other device before exchange. Hybrid deployment with multi-exchange forest. So hybrid deployment, we know what it is, like Exchange and Office 65 in one configuration. But now we are talking about hybrid deployment multi-exchange forest, which means if you don't have to go for Office 65 and in your environment you have two forests, we can support with the hybrid deployment tool. And the new feature is coming, EAC commandlet logging. So when you run something from Exchange Admin Center, you don't see the commands, what command it ran. I mean, when you click anything, you like create a DAG, create a database, you click on plus and it creates a database. What's happening in the end? It's a PowerShell script which is running. So we have this feature in the commandlet logging. It can log all the commands which is running, so that you can copy, keep it for future, or for a reference, or you can learn this way that what command it was running, so you can next time try in PowerShell. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Database availability group overview. The first point is outage. We all know outage, and we don't want outage. So why outage happen? Of course, it's most of the time is a hardware failure or hardware driver outage, or hardware driver causes an outage, but many times it's a software as well. But we all want to reduce it, as an outage shouldn't be there, so that production should be running. The point here is the outage should, how can we avoid the outage? The solution is high availability. So if one goes down, second is up to take care of it, right? So that's what Microsoft is trying in different various ways to avoid the outage, and somewhat we have been successful. All right, so what is DAG? DAG is a cluster. We know clustering from a decade or more than decade. It has been here forever. So we have been using clustering in 5.5, 2003. Action 2000 changed its name to CCR and SCR. SCR is not the clustering, but extended copy. Then in 2010 we got DAG, and again it's a little bit improved DAG in Exchange 2013. Just not a little bit; it's more improved now. All right. The DAG has a limit to have 16 copies of one database, and because we believe 16 copies is good enough. I have not seen anyone having 16 copies. The maximum I've seen is 6 copies of any database. No matter how big the database is or small, the maximum I've seen 6 copies. 6 copies have been good enough for production as well as DR site. But just in case, if any organization has a need or has 10 data centers or 8 data centers, they can keep 2 copies in every data center. All right. After cumulative update 2, we have 100 databases limit available back in 2013. We had 100 database limit in Exchange 2010, but Microsoft initially decided to keep it to 50 databases, and now when customer reported that 50 is not good enough for them to move to Exchange 2013, Microsoft extended it back to 100 databases. Automatic DR site activation. I'll go back to 100 databases. 100 databases will be only possible with Exchange Enterprise version. So with standard, it's still 5. 5 in the sense it includes active and passive copies. So it doesn't mean that you have 5 active or 5 passive. It's maximum 5. All right. Automatic DR site activation with 3 data centers. I've seen a couple of customers who are testing this DR site activation in 2010, but we don't recommend. Microsoft don't recommend. So don't try to play with the production, but try with the lab. If it works, good, but will not be supported. Microsoft will not support it. But the 3-site data center is supported in Exchange 2013. So this is going to reduce a lot of manual effort. You will not be required to mount the cluster back. It's going to mount it automatically. The next feature is auto-reseeding with spare disk. This is another very nice feature which has come with Exchange 2013. What it's going to do is going to replace the new disk in case one disk fails out of the data set, out of the bunch of disks. The dependency is one disk has how many databases? It will replicate. I mean, it will reseed them automatically. But the disks should be available already in place before the crash in the configuration. So you have to configure your databases in the way of auto reseeding. It's not the normal configuration, it's a different configuration. Then we have the feature of Pam and Sam. Don't get excited, it's not Pamela, it's not Samurai or Samuel. It's Pam stands for Primary Active Manager. SAM stands for Secondary Active Manager. Sorry, Standby Active Manager. So what Pam does is Pam is itself a cluster owner. Pam itself is a cluster owner, and it takes care of the failovers. And SAM helps it in taking over the control over the PAM. I mean, if in case of failure, if the PAM server crashes or the SAM server crashes, they both talk to each other, and one says, okay, this server is up for active for the active database. Don't do anything. but the other server is down, needs some help. So PAM decides which copy will be active and passive. PAM responsible for getting topology changes. PAM owns the cluster quorum. PAM controls all movement of active designated databases. If PAM server fails, then PAM moves to surviving server, which becomes a new cluster owner. And PAM also does SAM features on the local server. So what SAM does is SAM detects failure of local databases and local information store. SAM asks PAM to initiate the failover in case my local database and my local information store has failed. I will ask PAM to initiate the failover to different database. SAM access the active database copy location state to answer queries of active copy of database. SAM provides information on which server hosts the active database copy to the other components. The other components, you must be thinking what component it can be. So the transport is also another component which look for the active database, right? Similarly, we also have CAS. CAS also look for the active database. So SAM provides the information to these components which database is active. All right. Now next is DAG mode. DAG mode is something which we use in 2 or more data center configuration. DAG mode controls the split brain syndrome, which will, in a case of a failure between the network link, it will avoid two servers mounting the same database. We all know split brain syndrome. We have heard about split brain syndrome more in DNS, right? So this is going to avoid the database mounting in that case of failure. How it works is server 1, in a way we can take a failure example where network link is up. So how it's going to work? If we have only 2 servers in the DAG and they are expanded between 2 sites, so server 1 restarted and Active Manager starts with a bit 0. So when the server come up, Active Manager itself set to 0. All right. Then server 1 queries server 2 Active Manager to know if it can activate the databases. Server 2 replies bit 1, which means you can mount your active databases. So bit 1, if another server is replying bit 1, means it's saying there's nobody who has activated this database. You can go ahead and activate the database. And if server 2 replies 0 bit, that means don't do anything, we are running good. All right. Before moving forward, I would like to know what are running in your environment. Let me know if you're running Exchange 2013. Let's start with 2013. Are you running Exchange 2013 in your environment? All right, good numbers. Exchange 2010. Oh, better numbers. 2007 and 2003. Hey, what are you doing, guys? 2003. April 8th is the last date for support, and you will not get the support. Yeah, unless you might have some other contract internally signed, which is not publicly available. All right, that's good. 2007, guys. I would like to know when are you moving to the new versions? 2007 has not been so good. This is my feedback. Because the CCR is good, okay, but the third copy after if you go beyond data center, it's not so easy. So I will recommend to move to Exchange 2010 or 2013 whichever you find better for your organization. But 2007, no, I would say no, it's not. It's not that good. Now we have more features, better features. Let's use them. All right. So database availability group benefits. I will say if we configure everything good, then recovery time is very fast. So no SLA worry. So if you work for some organization where they have SLAs and you have customers like IBM or Accenture or CSE or HP, they have the SLAs where 4-hour SLA to 71 case. If you implement DAG with 2013, I don't think you will have to, you will breach the SLA anytime. So go for it. Reduced manual effort, of course. If data center is running automatically, moving, if in case of any hardware or software failure, it's going to move automatically, means your manual effort will be reduced. You don't have to break fix, but you can just fix the failure component, like any hardware, hard disk, server, CPU. Another copy of database. So you feel better when you have another copy of database. Feel protected, right? Less database copies with AutoReseed feature. If you implement AutoReseed feature, then we don't need so many copies. We don't need 6 copies, because we are relying on AutoReseed feature, which is gonna reseed the database. Another point is how big is your database. I will take an example here of one of my customer, which had 48 databases of almost 2 terabytes. Sorry, of 2 terabyte, and they had 6 copies. So 48 multiplied by 2, 96, 96 multiplied by 6, 288, 278 somewhere. So we had so much of terabytes of data. Right. So if I reduce 2 copies out of it, I'm going to save over 100 terabyte of data, and I will be able to place one disk of 2 terabyte in every server. We were using only 12 servers to run this environment, and maybe if we calculate, we might like to reduce some servers as well. So 100 terabytes of disk saving in just one example I'm giving you with the help of AutoReseed. Yes, if you just have one database, AutoReseed might not be that useful for you in terms of saving the disk, but it will still be useful for you in terms of automation. So you don't need to wake up in the night to fix it. As simple as that. Less disk, less servers, less effort for system admins, no midnight wake-up call, no outage in case of following is disk failure, server failure, site failure, internet outage. So that's the advantage. Even in 2010, we had disk failure and server failure. But site failure, we had the manual effort. Internet outage, we had a manual effort. But with 2013, we don't need to do anything if you configure it first perfectly. All right, let's move to the next slide. All right, so this came with a flash, DAG without cluster administrative access point. No cluster IP. How good is it? So whenever you configure the DAG, you have assigned one IP per subnet, right? So if you have 3 subnets, 3 extra IPs, and your DAG is mounted on one IP, and your network team is pinging and asking, these 2 IPs are dead. Why? Should we use it somewhere else? And you have to say no. And every 3 months, when security team analyzes the system, it says, oh, these 2 IPs are dead. Where are you using? So again and again, we have to add an exception, right? So now no exceptions. It's going to be very simple, DAG. So which means no IP means no cluster name. No cluster name means no CNO, no cluster name object. That also means no DNS entry for this DAG configuration. All right. Already said no second or more data center cluster IPs. No SCOM alert. If you have used the SCOM with DAG and you had configured 2 or more IPs in a cluster, you might see an alert coming that this particular IP component is offline in your cluster. Do something as a red alert. And every time SCOM administrator receive it, they open a ticket, assign it to your team, and you close it saying this is by default behavior. So just add an exception. New SCOM administrator comes, he does the same. The process change, team shuffles, new guy comes again. Now no more. Active Directory detach cluster feature. So basically, this is the Active Directory detach cluster feature which is coming with Windows 2012. No failover cluster manager. Wow. So we are going strictly to Exchange. So if you want to manage this cluster, we just have to manage from Exchange, nowhere else. Exchange shell or Exchange admin center. If you go to failover cluster manager, you will not see this cluster. Why? We don't have cluster name object. Yeah, sure.
So does this mean that we can now do DAG setups without having to get the Windows Server Enterprise license?
Windows Server Enterprise license?
Don't you need an enterprise license for the failover clustering and that whole capability when you're doing it in 2010?
Windows 2012 is standard. Standard will work.
Okay.
There's no enterprise. It's just standard and data center edition.
Okay.
So
standard will work with this?
yeah, yes,
Okay.
standard comes with the cluster.
Okay, awesome.
Data center.
But it's still starting the failover cluster services.
Yes.
In the background. You just don't have an IP,
Yes.
DNS entry,
Yes.
et cetera. Okay.
You don't have to manage it. It's going to use the component, but
Yep.
you will not be managing it through the failover cluster manager, which was like if you are core Exchange admin, you might not have never seen the cluster failover cluster manager. Many of us have not seen. They just open Exchange, do the things, everything works well for them, and they come out of it, and they never open failover cluster manager. So for them, it's kind of oh okay. We don't have to use it, this third component, third snap-in or third MMC. All right. Those of you who wanted to use Windows 2012 R2, you can use it. Supported, recommended, go ahead. All right. Getting started with DAG. What DAG needs, it's very simple configuration nowadays. It's just one domain controller, which is a global catalog server, actually Windows 2003 SP2 or above, 2 Exchange server 2013, ensure failover clustering is installed, 2 mailbox DAG server, basically, which can also have the CAS role. If you want to use the AutoReseed feature, then n+1 number of disks required plus 1 extra disk of the same size to use AutoReseed feature. 1 or 2 or 3 Exchange 2013 data centers or sites for site resiliency. If you are really looking for site resiliency, go for 3 data center Exchange 2013. You will be saying, oh, why should I build a new data center just for the site resiliency? So the option is the ISP in some location. They provide you a data center location where you can host one server. So you can host one server there, which can be a domain controller, which can be syncing with the domain, and just keep a file share witness there. All right. We are trying to make Azure work this way, but there's no statement about it yet. The last testing was failed for that. All right. Minimum 1 no mailbox role. No mailbox role is for the file share witness. All right. Let's move on to the next slide. Database availability group configuration steps. So we need to do a lot of planning before we start configuring DAG. So we should know which server will be file share witness and what are we configuring. Are we configuring 3 data center DAG or 1 data center DAG? According to that, we need a lot of planning. We need to design the architecture, buy the correct hardware, and then deploy. So the first step of the DAG configuration step is you have to add Exchange Trusted Subsystem group to local administrator group on the file share witness. Then go to Exchange Admin Center, Servers, Database Availability Group. Click on plus sign there and configure the following values. Database availability group name, witness server, witness directory name. You can leave the witness directory, you can leave the witness server name blank as well. So what will happen if you leave them blank? So if you leave witness server blank, it will look for the closest CAS server which does not have a mailbox role installed, and it will create the witness directory there. And if you leave the witness directory empty, it will give the default name something like file share witness, so or DAG, database availability group witness, something like that. But you can configure it and you would know where it is creating. All right, the fourth thing is important here, the DAG IP. Because there's a field, it needs the configuration. So we have to provide this 255.255.255.255, which I understand it's a broadcast address, but this is what we are going to provide to configure this IP-less clustering. All right, click Save. This will create IP-less DAG. As simple as that. All right. Then add DAG members by using this icon. Has anyone seen this icon? I'm sure you must have seen this icon if you have created DAG in 2013. All right. So this icon allows you to add the servers to DAG or remove the servers to DAG. So add one server at a time, and once it's saved, and then add second server. So basically, if you don't have installed failover clustering, it will install failover clustering here. Verify file share witness folder created. Now you can see, if you go to the file share witness location, you can see the folder will be created and the configuration will be there. But it will only come when you will add the second server, right? The file share witness gives a vote to say that this server should be up or this server is down, to help in mounting the databases, moving the cluster as well. So unless you have two servers, it's of no use. That's why it does not create anything inside. We'll see in demo. Then verify is done, and then go to the database tab. Then now it's time to create the database. Cluster is formed, DAG is formed. Now add the database. You can add any number of databases. Go to the database tab, click plus, add the database on that particular server, then configure these values: mailbox database name, server, any of the DAG server, database location, log, and system file location. Okay, this is important. At the step 8, it asks for the restart information store. So unless you restart information store, this database will not work properly. It might start working, but it might cause some issues later. So that's what I said. We need to plan. When we are configuring it, we need to ensure that it's in the change window. We have every authority approved it, and then only we create it. The other factor is that if you already are configured and using DAG, you can definitely restart information store service if you can move the database to different server, right? That's the purpose of DAG or clustering. So it's not that impossible, but you need to consider this before restarting information store service. Then you need to add the second database. There are 3 dots you will see. Click on that. If you will click on that without restarting or refreshing, those 3 dots will not allow you to add another database copy. But if you will select it after restarting information store, you will be able to add another database copy. Click save, and the seeding should start after this. Once seeding completes, you can test it by moving the database to different server. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so let's do the lab. So these are my servers. This is my domain controller, which came fine yesterday, but my Exchange servers gave me some trouble. So I had to open a 71 ticket in the night, and I was with Microsoft at 3 a.m. It's crazy. Anyways, the good thing is everything's working fine, and it came back. So this is my domain controller, and this is the file share witness server as well, which I'm going to use. And this is my Exchange server 1, and this is Exchange server 2. These are on Windows 2012 R2, and they have Exchange 2013 SP1. You can see the start button. It shows this is R2. Okay, and you can see these functions are possible through start button. All right, sure.
If file witness is on the domain controller, isn't that not supported?
It is not recommended, but supported. There are two different languages. You know, it's not recommended because what we need to do is we need to add this group, Exchange Trusted System Subsystem Group, to domain built-in administrator group. So I can show you what we need to add.
I follow that, I just don't understand why that's a bad idea.
Yeah, because this group is getting the access of the whole environment.
Not the local server.
Yeah, not the local server, because domain controller does not have this local admin group. So you have to come to this group, which is part of the domain, and you have to add this group here. So because of this, it's not recommended.
You're increasing
Yeah,
rights to this.
it's gonna open the kind of a security. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Got it.
But there are exceptions. People are using, but that's the reason it's not accept. One more thing before moving ahead, if you already have a DAG without SP1 with the IP, you cannot change it. You have to break it and create a new one. Sorry about it, but because it's totally different configuration, it's tough to break it and move on. So, um,
I would.
yeah, I
You
mean,
can upgrade to SP1, but then you don't want to use that, or
yeah, upgrade to SP1.
and then don't use that dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use, there are ways to use it. I mean, you can have to break 2 servers at a time, take them out of the DAG. Don't.
That doesn't sound practical in business. Why would I have 1,000 boxes in an organization? I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying is if you have 6 servers, you might like to, if you want to use it to make it simple, DAG, then take out 1 server out of a cluster, build a new DAG,
It's a whole new project.
kind of. But the good thing is the Exchange 2013 support the database portability. So if you have the database perfect running on the same disk, you can mount the same database on the different DAG, is my understanding. So well, definitely you need to do the testing before doing it, but this is my understanding. You can remove one server, build a new DAG, add the old database on your which is on your disk. You don't need to reset it, and then do the same for other databases, and that way it's gonna work. But a lot of discussion will be there around that, because you will have to do the log.
Practical because, most of the organizations they have not moved the customer I have, but those who have, it's not practical, you don't want to move, let's say, 1,000 mailboxes, you have to do migration and all that, it's not easy as it sounds. I don't see like, it's kind of a challenge, it's a problem, it's not helping me out as a customer, and I have to do it, why do I need to go all of that?
I agree, but this is the way it is right now.
There has to be some sort of good, the way, because we have new features coming, and and then we want to upgrade the features the next year. Okay, C1, C2, SP1, probably SP2, but it has to be solving business problems, and not just there's no way. So I'm not going to do it. There's a feature, but I'm not.
I agree with you, but at this point of time, this is the only way. But maybe in future.
And you don't have any features, you can put the feedback.
We have already discussed internally. Well, if something will come up, we'll definitely share. Kamal would know as well. He's Microsoft.
Brian's so part of the option guy, so he's here, giving your feedback, read him out, he's here for that, so.
Yeah, Microsoft is here. We are in Microsoft. You can directly give the feedback to Brian.
You're gonna hit both. I built a bunch of 2012 always on SQL clusters, and in fact, except 2014 gives you the ability to use CSVs for the shared disk. And there's no easy migration path there either. I mean, the story is basically here's this fabulous new feature, and you're right, it is a fabulous new feature. It would make deployment a lot easier, but if it's built and it's hot and it's working, you have a new design when you go forward, but in the meantime, build it, plan it going forward, and then decide when SP1 does other cool stuff that you want, then do it. Otherwise,
I think the problem is there's a very big difference between versions, 2012, 2014 versus 2013 RTF and 2013 SP1.
yeah.
That's.
Yeah. So.
I mean, I agree, but we're stuck at the moment. So the roll-on column fixes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So that's it, there's an on-existing
That-
piece.
Yeah, so basically you need R2 to use the IP-less DAG. So if you have to be on the R2. So you have to answer, okay? All right. So, okay, but maybe we'll see something.
Just a question.
Sure.
So upgrading to Service Pack 1 is not going to break an existing DAG. You just can't use the newer.
Yes, that's right. Because you cannot upgrade your OS. It's not recommended to upgrade your OS on Exchange server. Though it may work, but I've seen somebody try it and it failed. So they had to rerun the Exchange setup. Doesn't make any sense in production. I would not recommend. Okay, coming back to the lab. This is my Exchange Admin Center. I've clicked on plus. The DAG, I will give DAG name DAG Tech. I have to use it, so I will give the domain controller name, which I'm forgetting. DCW 2013. DCW 2013. 2013 lab. I'll give C:\, tech, just TRA, and this is important thing which I'm configuring. 255, 255, 255, 255. Click on plus. Click on save. So DAG is created, but if you see here in the C drive, this is the old file share witness. will just delete it. We gave a different name, which is not here. So there's no file share witness here. Going back to DAG and clicking on this icon to add the DAG members. Click on plus sign. Click to add server 1. Okay. Save. So at the server 1, I will add the local server. Once it will work, I will add the second server. It's very quick because I already have the failover cluster manager installed. Otherwise, it will take a little bit of time. So it says 45 seconds. So anybody counting? No? All right.
Do you recommend doing any other config other than adding the cluster role, or do you just add the cluster role and take it from there?
You just need to add the cluster role. It will take it from there. Otherwise, my blog is there. You can follow the steps to install Exchange or DAG or SP1. There's a lot of blog is there. Right. Okay. Completed. Boom. So let's add second server. You have the option to add it again, but no, we don't want. All right. So now it's going to add the second server. So this is running remote PowerShell at this point. It's not running the local PowerShell because it's executing something which is for the remote server. So what happens is if the server is down, it might execute something, but it will fail because it cannot contact the server. Now it has completed because server is up. All right. So DAG is created. Now click on databases. These are the default databases. Don't remove default databases until you move the arbitration mailboxes, discovery mailboxes. Otherwise, you will have to create them back, else Exchange will cause some problems. So I will say DAG database name, Tech Stravaganza 1, and the server, on which server I want to create it. Say, okay, go to the default location, I don't care. This is my lab. So it's creating new database, which will be created very fast. It doesn't take long. Should be done right away. Meanwhile, just hey Ben. All right, so you can see the information store service restart warning. So I respect all the Microsoft alerts, and I would recommend to you do that. So I will go to services and restart the information store service. All right, this was on local. Started. I have not refreshed yet, so I can still show you what's happening here. It just says dismounted, but if I refresh it, now you can see it has changed. You can see it says add mailbox copy. So I'll click on add.
So when you restart the information store, does that affect all the databases on the server now?
Yes, yes.
Even under new process.
Yes, it's restarted, it dismounted, and bring them back.
That's a pretty crappy new feature.
But if you've got Mafio based project model, when you dismount and remount, will the user still get a pop-up saying you want to change user?
No. In Exchange 2013, we don't get that pop-up. Yeah, I wanted to answer that. Why do we need to restart the information store? So that it can it can use the database memory. I mean, the database is consuming some memory. So how to refresh that? So they identify until you restart information store, it will not leave the memory. So to share the load between the databases with the memory utilization, you have to restart it.
Right, it's stored cache in the caching mechanism.
Yes,
But I
yes,
mean, but it's never been the case before, ever.
yes.
Since
But
2007.
this is an improvement feature, I would say. This is an improvement to balance the memory.
Yeah, but if you have a if you have a server that has plenty of memory, and it's just going to create another process, because you have plenty of available memory to create another cache for the new database. In theory, I don't need to restart this, right? Unless I'm already using, 80, 100% of the memory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is true, but it will not balance it. It's like one database is using more memory than other. So
Right, but it may be something that I could do later on, like in the evening on a weekend.
Yeah, I mean,
It's not gonna be detrimental to me to have a new database on a Wednesday and then wait till Friday to restart the service.
yeah, like I said earlier, it's a database availability group, DAG cluster. So move all the active databases to the different server, restart information source service, move the databases back, and
Yeah,
on the
but some
second node,
companies, that's like an act of Congress.
It is, some companies, they can't do that.
moving the database to new server is quite easy. It's,
Technically it is.
Technically, it's
Technically
change
it is.
control and people don't.
Now, this way you will make sure your other server works fine when you need it.
yeah, I mean,
See, the way you have to look at it is, you have a server, has 64 gigs, you have one database. Do you want to just use 10 gigs of memory, or do you want to utilize the system to its full extent? Right? You obviously want to use system to, that's why you got the server. The server has supposed to do what it's for. So when you have one database, Exchange as an application which consume all that memory that it has. The way it builds its cache is based on the amount of memory. So during the system startup, when the database start, it will see, okay, this system has 100 gigs of memory. Now I have one database. I'm going to take a certain part of it. Depending on the number of databases it has, it's going to decide and say, if I have 5 active databases, I'm going to take my memory and say, okay, 5 active databases are going to get 5 equal amounts of that memory. So now once you add one more, now what you're doing is you're changing the design. Now you have to tell Exchange that no, I don't have 5 databases, I have 6. So it has to do the recalculation again, and that's why.
From a technical standpoint, I understand that. It's just from a process or a company standpoint, sometimes that's a little bit difficult to get done when you like it.
That's true. Again, if you think of it from an application utilizing the full-fledged resources that you have, right? So, because you're going to add databases 2 years down the road, you don't want to use that extra
Was it good?
20 gigs that you have. It doesn't make sense, right? So,
all right, sure.
it all depends. So if you're in cache mode, the user will not even pursue any change. It goes disconnected, comes back up and goes there.
If you're an online, what would you think?
Financials don't allow them to.
All right.
So yes, there is an impact to the user, and that's where Prabhat was saying, you have to look into the failover process at that point. It's a matter of filling out the databases, make sure that you get a chance to research.
Just a change from
And
older versions.
you're just not going to do and add a new database unless you need to. You have to have some users to put on a new database, right? So there's a need, so you plan and you have some
So,
maintenance.
yeah, I mean, this is what I said.
Say, okay, I need a database that's pretty good.
We need a proper planning. I mean, you do any changes in production, we do the planning, right? We take all the changes approval. So when you take it, definitely you are going to do the off business hours. You would like to do off business hours. Whatever we do. Even though it is safe, we always do it off business hours. Okay, this is one command to answer that. to check the health of the database copies. So you can run the get mailbox database copy status */*. It will show you the copy queue length and replay queue length of all the databases in your organization. So if you're going to move it, just see if it is 0, good to go. It's healthy. I mean, it's healthy as well as the queue is 0. All right. So meanwhile, the second database copy has completed. The seeding has completed. It has not given me the warning here, but I will still restart here because it gave me for the first time. So there's another place from where you can restart the services. It's in Task Manager, which is quite easy to restart multiple services at one go. All right, so starting and running. All right, so I'll come here. I will check the status here. What is looking good to me is indexing is also healthy. Okay, click on this activate the second database copy, and let's see how many seconds it takes. All right, this is something with the GUI. I'm sure I've done this earlier and it has moved. Yeah, it's not updated. No, it's healthy, but it's the GUI is causing the problem. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's not updated basically here. So I can check here. It will be healthy, I believe. Mailbox database copy. If I just run it without the asterisk, it's going to show the local databases. Okay, okay, it's still doing something. That's why it's still failed. So okay, nevertheless, it's created. It has created the database, and I'm sure it will be healthy. We can come back and check. Okay, now it's healthy. Okay, takes new database, restarted information store. It's good now. Possibly it will move. Okay, seems moving. Saving, moves. Ooh. How many seconds? It's not so much, but I understand your point. All right. So this is the demo of the day. Lab completed. We'll go back to the slides. Satisfied? Not satisfied? Sorry.
We're just talking about the speed of the moves are supposed to be like twice as fast as 2010.
It's too fast. It's faster than 2010. That's for sure. All right. AutoReseed. How many of you are excited to listen about this feature? This feature has been so good. I mean, I just love this feature. Configuration is not so difficult, little bit complicated, I would say, but it's not so difficult. I mean, if you talk about difficulty, when we were born, when we learned how to say anything, hi, mom, dad, it was difficult for us, right? So we did everything, we can do this as well. This is so easy. But the good feature, you just have one disk in place and it will automatically replace if the disk fails. So in my previous sessions, I have done the demos. You can follow me on YouTube, check out the demos of AutoReseed. But in this session, we'll talk about the steps, not the demo, because it takes a little bit of time and we are short of time. All right. All right, so AutoReseed configuration steps. Step number 1, configure the root path of databases, volumes. So in the DAG configuration, we configure these two paths. Now this is important. Why? Because according to these paths, Exchange would know where are the volumes mounted and from where it has to pick the empty volume which is available to use. All right. So this in this example, I have given C drive and this /edb and /evols. You can give it D, E, whichever way you like, but make sure we have to mount volumes and databases on those paths. You can give any other path, that's fine. Then configure number of databases per volume. With the new configuration, I can see there are 8 terabyte disks are available, so we can configure at least 4 databases of 2 terabytes in one disk. So if you just configure one disk, one extra disk will safeguard you on that server. So we are good. Depends on the number of disks and databases we are using on that server. You might like to add maybe 2 disks on the safer side if you are just using JBOD, which is going to crash every now and then. So all the options are open. Create the root directories inside inside these paths. Basically, this is the path. In the first step, we configure the path. Then we are creating the actual directories in the third step. Then in the fourth step, we are mounting the volumes. So in my example, I had two volumes which were working, and the third was extra spare. So I mount 3 volumes here. So 2 had databases, 1 was empty, and in the step 5, we created the database path. So where we want to keep the database, that's database path. Then in the 6th point, we mounted the volume to the database path. That's tricky. Make sure when you run the commands, which are last 2 lines, mount vol.exe, c:\/ the path, and then volume !/vol. This is the volume GUID will come there. This is the important thing, where you are mounting which volume. So in that particular volume, the database will be written. All right. At the 4th number step, we already mounted these volumes to one volume, which is providing the spare disk. 4th step is for the spare, adding the spare disk, but the 6th step is to create the databases inside. So basically, where the database will be created. Sounds a little bit complicated. You might be confused, but when we do it, you'll be feeling better. All right. AutoReseed is configuration step 2. It's not completed, so 7th step. Then on the 7th step, it's a verification by running mount vol command. Going back to 6th step, when you run the last 2 commands, you have to run it from the command prompt, not from the Exchange Management Shell. So this is very important. If you run it from the Exchange Management Shell, it will give you some error or it will not work. So make sure you run mount vol from the command prompt, not Exchange Management Shell. All right. So step number 7, verification. Step number 8, create the database structure. Inside that path, create the database structure where you want to keep the database and where you want to keep the log file. Because this structure is important for Reseed to understand. This is the Exchange Reseed understandable structure. All right. In the step 9, we are creating the databases. Create the databases. You can see in between the log path, log folder path and the EDB file path we have given, which belongs to these paths which are on the step 8. All right. Then in the step 10, sorry, there are two 10s. Actually, it should be 11 and 12. So in the step 10, mount the databases. In the step 11, create the copy of the databases, and then test. If you are in the lab, take your disk offline. Do not delete the partition, but take the disk offline to test it. All right, and it will work after some time. You will see, maybe you need to give some hours, few hours to make things happen. All right. So I'll tell you AutoReseed workflow next, which is going to clear how much time it might take to attach the empty disk. All right. The first step is detect. The workflow first step is the detect a copy in failed and suspended state in 15 minutes. It takes 15 minutes to keep the copy in the failed and suspended state. Then in the next step, Exchange tries to resume copy 3 times. It tries to resume whether it can resume the seeding or resume the copy, resume the database working. 3 times it tries in the interval of 5. When all 3 fails, then the step 3, Exchange tries to assign a spare disk for 5 times. So basically, in first half an hour or so, it's supposed to assign, or maybe 30-45 minutes. It's supposed to assign the disk. So for it will try 5 times to assign the disk. So basically, if you provide a disk even after the failover, even if the disk fails, if you provide the disk later, still you have like 5 hours plus time to let it try AutoReseed. So at the step number 3, it will take 5 hours. It will wait there on this step if you don't provide the spare disk. If you provide it, it will move to the step number 4. So if it gets the disk, it tries in place seed and safe delete existing file 5 times. Which means it will do the reseeding and with the command set saying safely delete all the existing file on that disk, just in case. Which will also run 5 times, which will also try 5 times in every hour for 5 hours. And then step number 5, once all retries are completed with no success, workflow stop with success or no success. In the step 6, this is important, it never stops. So if you come to the 6th step, it says in case of no success, Exchange will wait for 3 days and see if copy is still failed and suspended state. Then start the workflow from step 1. So after 3 days, it will start the workflow from 0, from 1. So isn't it a great feature, AutoReseed?
Can you adjust this time?
No, these are the default times, and these runs on the back end for now. Maybe in future we'll see something we can do, but this is for the safety. You understand that this is the way it is designed right now.
If you have multiple copies, say 2 copies in each data center, you lose a copy. Does it know, is it smart enough to reseed it from the other server to local data center, or is it just going to grab any?
It should do the local copy. It should do the local copy. It's not. Exchange is smart enough to understand that this server number 3 is in the different AD site. It's smart enough. You will see. You will see that understanding in more transport session. If you see any transport session, you will see that it says anytime you install Exchange, it understands in which AD site it is configuring. So even the DAG, if you have seen Exchange 2010 DAG disaster recovery, you will see that its scope is AD site. So it understands the AD site. Don't worry. All right. Sure.
Let's say you have two servers in your primary site, and JBOD. When JBOD goes down, how long till the database fails over? Is it
It will be failing over in 30 seconds.
30 seconds?
It's immediate, basically. The moment it reads, database is not up, it start mounting to the other server. Doesn't wait for any time, basically. I've estimated 30 seconds because it will mount. It might commit some logs to become the database healthy and mount it. So that's where I said 30 seconds. Maybe it mount faster than 30 seconds. All right. So automated database availability group. All right, we're running out of time. Okay. The requirement for automated DAG is very simple. 3 data centers, 2 exchange servers data centers, which are internet facing, 1 file share witness data center, then load balancer for each data center, which has exchange, then host record for network load balancer. You have to create the host record for network load balancer for each data center, which will be two host records for them to get the CAS high availability. So in public domain, public DNS, you have to create two records, one for each data center. Then 2 MX record to route it through both data centers. I have given the example of the DNS in the namespace examples. So that is the first host record, and the next one is the alias. I've created auto-discover for mail.vdc.com. Then the third is the MX record. All right. Then next step is basically what we need is four servers. I would say 2 in each data center, 1 mailbox, 1 member or domain controller server in third data center, or file, which will be the file share witness. Basically, it can be a member server. Yes, in the 3-side data center, if you put the file share witness in third data center, then only you can achieve the automatic failover.
What if the network connectivity goes down in that data center?
So it's very simple. Out of 3 data centers, 2 should be up. It's like -1 is acceptable.
Alternate witness also, how you design that?
No, it's. I'll show you in the next slide. You'll see. This is the example of DAG site resiliency with 3 sites. So we have, you can see the first is New York, second is the Sydney, which has mailbox servers, third is the third data center in Mumbai, which has the file share witness, and it's 1 DAG. So if the site goes off, that means these 2 sites are up. Third data center.
What if Mumbai goes down then?
If 2 sites goes down,
This is,
if
what if Mumbai goes down?
no effect, because sites are up. I mean the active mailboxes are up. Yeah, but it's unless you try to move, it doesn't come in the picture. Unless you try to move anything, file share witness does not come in the picture. Yes, sir. You have a question?
I was just saying, if Mumbai goes down, you lose your auto fail.
No, either one. It can sustain 1 site failover. It doesn't harm. If Mumbai goes off, it will still be up. Whatever there, it will be there. It will be up and running. It doesn't.
You're saying, because you have an Exxon New York, you're saying if Mumbai goes down, or New York goes down, or Sydney goes down, you're still up.
Yes.
But if New York goes down and Mumbai goes down, you're done.
Yes. I mean, that's why
Right, but I'm just.
it's not expected to.
Right.
I mean, that's like everything is going down. That world is ending. All right. So it's going away to the next floor. All right. So possibly the last topic of the day. High availability versus disaster recovery. This has been a little bit confusing topic, so I just picked it to explain. There's a difference in high availability and disaster recovery. So high availability, we expect that everything is mounted by default, and the disaster recovery when we have to do an manual effort to bring the things up. It is very simple. Like we configure 3 data centers in 3 different sites, and it's a high availability. But if 2 data centers goes off, we need to do the disaster recovery steps. Still, we will be able to bring the DAG up by running some disaster recovery steps. So we have not lost the world. We still have Sydney up, and we can create the alternate file share witness there and bring the things up. That will be called disaster recovery. All right. Being said that, we are at the summary. So what we learned today is Exchange 2013 SP1 new features, benefits of Exchange 2013 DAG, DAG without cluster administrative point, Exchange 2013 DAG configuration steps and lab, high availability with database availability group, automated DAG availability group, AutoReseed workflow and steps. All right. All right, so most welcome for your feedbacks. This is my email ID and my blog. You can follow me on these public networking websites, public networking places. This is my website, MS Exchange Guru, which is just not me, and we are a couple of MVPs as well as some other Exchange PSS colleagues. So we write our blogs there. All right. These are few references which definitely you can use. This second link will be live in a couple of minutes. It's not live right now. I did not release it. All right, so any more questions? No more questions? All right, that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We made a history.